The following program contains explicit calls for clear thinking. If you suffer from emotionalism, Randall may not be right for you. Check with your romance novelist.
Standing for truth in the four corners of America. Fighting for justice on the frontiers of the culture wars. And turning resistance into an art form. The only TV host arrested more times than Mahatma Gandhi, Randall Terry.
Welcome, thank you. Oh, I won't be raucous today. I'll be polite, I'll be nice. Welcome to the program. It is I, your servant, Randall. We've got a lot to talk about today, ladies and gentlemen. As always, Obama insults fatherhood. Go figure. And Al-Qaeda, another attack could be coming against the United States. Nothing funny about that. And a big defeat in store for the Obama administration in Arkansas. I'll tell you about that. Today's program brought to you in part by New Jersey, showing the beauties of American socialism, and by the public school system. It takes a professional to keep a child that dumb for that long. Remember, when your child graduates, he'll probably know how to use a condom, but he might not be able to read the label. A quick word now from a new friend of mine, Rusty Cowpoke.
Hi there. I want to tell you about some crazy things I've been seeing around the D.C. area. We got possums running around here. Yeah, I'm not kidding you. Yeah, because we got these pro-life politicians who are saying they're going to be, filibustering any Obama nominee to the Supreme Court. Well, guess what? When it matters most, like right now, when Kagan's up for her bid at the Supreme Court, they're playing dead. They ain't going to filibuster her no more. What's up with that? Now, talking about dead, that's what Kagan wants when it comes to babies. If Kagan gets into the United States Supreme Court, she's going to make something to keep it cool, to keep killing babies. And I got a problem with that. I'm not cool with that, because I don't even think it's good to kill little baby cows and baby pigs, but killing babies. Now, we all need to raise a ruckus here, okay? We can't let them play dead at these Kagan hearings. Come on and fight.
Welcome to today's program, friend. I hope that you had a good Father's Day weekend. I'm going to come back to that in a minute, but first I want to address something that is critical. The premise, the axiom, the foundation of a thing. A lot of times we have a knee-jerk reaction to something. It's visceral. It might be right, it might be wrong. The issue is, what's the premise of the thing? So today in the news, we're going to look at New Jersey, we're going to look at fatherhood, we'll look at Helen Thomas, a lot of fun stuff. But I pray for both of us to start to be able to see through to the bottom of a thing. What's the premise? And to be able to sniff out a faulty premise so that you can dismiss the whole argument. Because if you accept the premise of an argument, it can be perfectly logical to come up with a conclusion where Marxism is right. We should take money from the rich. Why not? They've got it and the rest of us need it. Well, there's a little commandment called thou shalt not steal. And if you accept the premise of Marxism, you have to reject the premise of the 10 Commandments. So anyway, we'll come back to that. But always remember, ask yourself, what's the premise of what's being argued here? All right? In fact, I'm going to do one quick little for instance. If someone said to you, hey, government schools, public schools are in a mess, what's your prescription to fix them? And you said, oh boy, I know what we're going to do. Prayer in, condoms out. Bible in, politically correct sensitivity training out. We're going to use a really strong math program that does the fundamentals. We're going to get away from look-say teaching and go back to phonics. We're going to have a smaller classroom size. We're going to bring back the arts. And you just go down through this whole list. But what you've done is argued from the premise of the French Revolution that every child is a child of the state. Compulsory, government-funded, i.e., take money from your neighbor, government-funded compulsory education, the premise of it is that our kids belong to the state, not to us. Do I want all children to be educated? You betcha I do. You betcha I do. And when we didn't have compulsory education, when we didn't have government-funded compulsory education, we had a higher literacy rate. We're cranking kids out of government schools. A third of them quit before they graduate, and a third of those who graduate cannot read. Okay? So there's a lot of heartbroken parents out there who gave their child to the system for 12 or 13 years, and they're barely fit to be a door greeter at Walmart, which is an honorable profession. Learn to think in terms of the premise. The premise of government, public school, whatever you want to call them, is that every child is a child of the state. And we have to have the courage and the wisdom to reject the premise of a thing. All right, I've taken too much time. Let's go to the news. President Obama has a Father's Day proclamation. That's nice. He's the president, kind of befitting. And in his proclamation, he says, and I want to read it exactly, nurturing families come in many forms, and children may be raised by a father and a mother, a single father, two fathers. What? Two fathers? I don't think so, Barack. Two fathers, a stepfather, a grandfather, or a caring guardian. I'm not making this up. Two fathers. What's the premise? What's he talking about there? He's talking about Adam and Steve. You see, God made Adam and Eve. Barack says, what about Adam and Steve? The premise is that, his faulty premise, is that two loving, committed individuals, even if they're of the same gender in a long-term committed relationship, can do a great job, just as good a job as a mom and dad to raise a child. It's a lie. It's not true. Homosexual behavior is self-destructive. It is a sin against God and man. And you don't honor it by elevating it to the level of marriage. All right, on to other news. Al-Qaeda, the American-born spokesman, Adam, I want to say his name properly, Adam Gaddan, has said that there's going to be more strikes from Al-Qaeda against America, and that if you look at how many Muslims have been killed versus how many Americans have been killed, that the Muslims have a long way to go before they even the score. I want to talk to you for a minute, and when I come back from the break, we'll deal with Blanche, Lincoln, and stuff in Arkansas. But I'm in a master's program on international terrorism, and one of the things that is really disturbing to me is that most people in America, most Muslims included, and listen to me, do not know that Muhammad killed people with his own hand. Muhammad beheaded hostages with his own sword. Did you know that? Jesus Christ died to start Christianity. Muhammad killed to start Islam. And the two of them proceed apace. I've been in Istanbul, which used to be called Constantinople, where there's this magnificent museum. Well, there's actually the Muhammad room, in which you see the swords of the first four caliphs. You see two of Muhammad's swords. You see a threatening letter from Muhammad to an Egyptian leader. This is what is in their most sacred rooms. Swords, emblems of death. That's what we're dealing with here, people. That sword that was owned by Muhammad probably killed people for the glory of Allah. I'll be right back.
People who say they're atheists are really stupid. If they live their life by that principle, they leave no room for error.
Moments with Moses. I will lay your cities waste and will make your sanctuaries desolate, and I will not smell your pleasing odors.
Welcome to the program, friend. Speaking of premise, look at New Jersey, what's going on up there right now. The legislature has passed a bill that the governor vetoed, trying to tax everyone in New Jersey who makes over $1.2 million, about 16,000 individuals that would generate about $660 million. They want to put a 10.75% tax surcharge on people who work hard and make good money. I don't make that kind of money. I've never made that kind of money. And it's still wrong for them to tax them. But listen what they're doing. They're saying, well, we want to use that money to give rebate checks to the elderly who are having trouble paying their property taxes. And then they're saying, oh, how mean and cold-hearted this governor is. Listen, if you accept the premise of Marxism, that there must be a forceful redistribution of wealth, this is what it leads to. I've got a little song about that. It's called Let's All Be Equal.
Let's all be equal, mediocre at best. Nobody's a loser, we all pass the test. When it's time to make the grade, there'll be no bright shining stars, 'cause we're all equal. Dim bulbs. Let's all be equal, not too poor, not too rich. No one living in a skyscraper, nobody digging a ditch. You don't need nothing for no rainy day. What God gives, Obama takes away. So we're equal. We're all broke. Let's all be equal. No superheroes here, no good guys to save us, no bad guys to fear. Olympic gold is as good as mold. There ain't no difference when the story's told, 'cause we're all equal. Middle of the road. I wanna do a solo for all the mediocre out there. Let's all be equal, poor, sick, and dead. Check your brains at the door, boy. Here's some rocks for your head. Don't need no Nobel Prize, no Super Bowl ring, no Oscar guy, and no Grammy thing, 'cause we're all equal. What did he just say? Don't need no Nobel Prize, no Super Bowl ring, no Oscar guy, and no Academy thing, and no Grammy thing, 'cause we're equal. All mediocre.
We have got to name names in this battle. That is the history, that is the theology of the church. And if the IRS says, no, you can't name a name, you have to decide at that minute, who is the Lord of your tongue? Who is the Lord of your pen? Who is the Lord of the gospel? Is it Jesus or the IRS?
Socialism is the philosophy of failure, the creed of ignorance, and the gospel of envy. Sir Winston Churchill.
Welcome back to the program, friend. I hope you're enjoying this show. Tell your friends about us, would you? We're up to 5 television stations right now, as well as CPN Live, Tea Party TV, all of these things. We want to grow. We want to become a force in the culture wars that literally changes the course of American history. I just want to get that out of my system. All right, Helen Thomas, speaking of getting something out of her system, tell the Jews to get the hell out of Palestine. Now she got the heck out of the front row of the White House. Have you followed this? I mean, literally, she said, I'm not quoting, forgive me for being a little gruff. You know how Helen Thomas is, that little old 89-year-old lady in the front row. Well, the Jews need to get out of Palestine. They need to get the hell out of Palestine. Just go home. The guy says, well, where should they go? She goes home, back to Poland and to Germany. So the Hearst Paper Association said, you know, I think it's you that's going home, Helen. Bye. She did a good job hiding anti-Semitism all those years. That's very, very impressive. All right, on to other news. This is just plain fun. President Obama is about to be dished up another embarrassing defeat. And so are Bill and Hillary Clinton, for that matter. Just makes you feel good all over. Tingly, doesn't it? Blanche Lincoln is the incumbent senator in Arkansas who is about to be taken out by John Bozeman. He is up 2-1. 2-1. He is stomping her into the earth. Now, I have to admit, I don't know that much about him. I know that NARAL, the National Association for the Repeal of Abortion Laws, is what they used to be called, National Abortion Rights Action League now. NARAL, they're baby killers, blood all over their hands. They give him a 0. 0. So sometimes a man is known by the enemies he keeps. He is beating her 2-1. Do you realize in the midterm elections that Obama and Emmanuel, if they're in the White House, Emmanuel Rahm, that they're having their hind ends handed to them on a platter? This is so embarrassing for the Obama administration. But I want to again say to you folks, watch the race in Nevada with Harry Reid. Harry Reid could be sent packing, which would be awesome. Watch the race in Kentucky. Watch the race in Arkansas. What you're going to find is that it is the Republicans who snipe at the Republican candidates. Like Richard Lugar from Indiana. I always want to say Loogie when I hear his name. Because I want to spit him out of my mouth because he's lukewarm. Ugh. Anyway, he's been attacking Sharon Angle. Richard, shut up. Why don't you just retire? Go home. Go with Helen Thomas. Yeah, let the Hearst people take care of both of you. Anyway, Obama and friends, that in deep doo-doo. I'll be right back with a word from George Washington.
Arise, O Lord. O God, lift up thy hand. Forget not the afflicted. The hapless commits himself to thee. Thou hast been the helper of the fatherless. Break thou the arm of the wicked and evildoer. Seek out his wickedness till thou find none.
Hi, friend, I'm Randall Terry. George Washington said, experience tells us that it is much easier to prevent an enemy from posting themselves than it is to dislodge them after they have got possession. Well, there's an old expression that says politics is war by another means. Clearly, this is true when it comes to military conflict, but it's also true when it comes to politics. It's easier to prevent an enemy from posting themselves than to dislodge them after they've gotten possession. President Reagan is one of my favorite presidents, but there were some things that he did and said. We're all human. We all make mistakes. Thou shalt not speak ill of thy fellow Republicans, he would say, the 11th commandment. There is no 11th commandment. And there are times you have to speak ill of them when they have become the enemy. If you have an enemy outside of the gate, all right, a walled city, it keeps you vigilant because you're always looking for him. If you have an enemy in the gate, he can poison your food in the day. He can cut your throat at night. I'm talking about politics. I'm talking about people like Richard Lugar. I'm talking about people like Scott Brown in Massachusetts. These people are child-killing socialists, okay? They are the stuff that death and destruction are made of. But they're Republican. And guess what? Once they get in, it's harder to get them out. So the challenge before us is to keep them from getting in. If you know that there's a bad Republican who's going to win, help defeat him.